I'm Catherine Fulvio and today I'm making a salmon pasta bake. This is a crowd pleaser. It's one of those oven to table dishes. You'll love it. To start with, we need to get our hob on here. So get a nice bit of heat on, and what I'm going to do is cook off my spring onions first. You can use shallots, onions, but as it happens, I had spring onions and I wanted to use them up. So get a bit of heat in, nice bit of butter. My butter is just melted, so I'm popping in the spring onions. I had a few spring onions left in the fridge, and it's all about using up what you have to make a delicious family dinner. I'm happy with that now. My spring onions have softened, so now it's just some plain flour. So this is the base of my sauce. I just stir in the flour. You have to cook the flour off because otherwise you'll have that raw flour taste. It doesn't take like a minute or two, that's all. So that's cooked off nicely now. The fun part. So in goes some milk. And this is the bit of the challenge. You don't want any lumps in this. There's ways around everything. That's what blenders are for anyway, if it does happen. But I just swap at this point to the whisk and start whisking. And I can pop my heat back up now because I want to heat the milk through, or else I'll never have my sauce ready. And more milk. So this is just regular milk. There we are. Give it another whisk. Now that's beginning to look like a bechamel sauce or a white sauce. So just keep pouring the milk in, and heat it up and wait for it to thicken. You know what I love about making this dish? It's a great opportunity to use up the bits in the fridge. It's something I created years ago when the children were small. I always had a little bit of cheddar cheese at the end of the pack, so I'm making a cheesy sauce here, which you might think is a bit weird with the salmon, but it works so well. So I'm going to pop that in. I've always a bit of mustard. I'm going to dress it up with a little bit of lemon zest. Now this can go in at this point. So pop the lemon zest in. The lemon zest is optional, but I think it's going to work really nicely with the salmon. And the same with our mustard. Let's pop that in. And give that a nice whisk. This is looking great. Now, the next thing, I have this cheese. So this is just the bits of the cheddar that I've just grated down and popping that in. You can choose whatever cheese you want. A Gruyere would be really nice in here, but I like cheddar in here. I think it works so well in this dish. And now a bit of pepper. And just a tad of salt. I don't need too much salt because like the cheese will be a bit salty. So I'm going to pop that in. There we go. My sauce is ready, and here I have my pasta. You know, pasta is one of those ingredients that tends to be left over a lot because we just eyeball what we need. We're not thinking, oh, measure it out. So a few tips for you. A, when you go shopping, make a list and stick to it so you're not over purchasing ingredients. But B, measure your portions properly so that you don't have food left over. But this is a great way of using up the leftover pasta. Now, Meath County Council do have a gift for you of a pasta measurer. So if you email environment@meathcoco.ie, they will post one out to you. So this is my penny leftover. You know, the average portion size for pasta is around 80 to 100 grams, depending on whether it's you're having a full main course like it's your proper dinner or not. So pop that in. Now let's get the sauce in here over the pasta. This is our lovely cheesy, mustardy and spring onion sauce. In that goes. Now I am using salmon in this recipe, but quite often I would use the leftover chicken from the Sunday roast. That goes in too. So salmon or chicken is beautiful in this. And I didn't cook the salmon because it's going to cook in the oven. This is going to go into the oven for a few minutes, about 20 minutes to 30 minutes just to finish the cooking process. The great thing about this dish as well is you can freeze it. So you can make it and freeze it, or you can have what you want for dinner and freeze the portions. And it's just so handy to whip out of the freezer and have, when you come in after a busy day. I had a bit of spinach in the fridge, so I'm going to pop that in as well, just to build up the veggies and also to use up what's in the fridge. So in that goes. And again, you don't need to cook the spinach beforehand. Give this a mix around. I tend to make the sauce quite loose in this because the pasta continues, even though it's fully cooked, it continues to absorb some of the sauce, and I don't want this dish to come out too dry. Here is my dish. I buttered it, just a bit of butter. And we're going to pop our ingredients in here like this. Look at that. These spatulas are brilliant for getting everything out so nothing is wasted. You know what I really love about this pasta dish is I'm kind of getting 2 goes out of the pasta that we had for dinner last night with the family. And you have to bear in mind as well, when you're actually making these dishes, think of like the environmental impact of food waste. It's really important that we figure out ways to use them up. I mean, that pasta, you know, that's harvested, there's water, there's machinery involved, there's electricity and so on. It's not just the air miles. So you've got to think of the broader environmental impact. Plus, what happens if we discard it? What's it doing for the environment? So that's not an option. So we have to figure out great ways of using up our ingredients. Now look at here. When I was chatting, I was mixing up some parsley, some parmesan. Again, it was the end of the parmesan piece in the fridge, and breadcrumbs. I had some bread that had gone a bit stale. I just turned it into breadcrumbs. I usually keep them in the freezer and take them out when I need them. It's dead handy. But that's going to give a lovely crunchy topping on this. Look at this. You're going to love this. Already smells gorgeous. I know you are going to love it. There it is. That is going into the oven for about 20 to 30 minutes until it's browned nicely on top. Everything's cooked in here except the salmon at this point. And as it happens, here's one I made earlier. So this here is my delicious salmon pasta bake. I really hope you're enjoying the tips and these wonderful ways to use up your leftover ingredients.